We can't just sign off on budgets and show up when we need something from our communities, because that comes across as transactional, and people get it. They sense that. They smell that a mile away. So presence matters. Bake that into your brand right now. I'm Carolyn Pars, communicator, coach, and host of Just Power, a podcast about creating a clean energy future without leaving anyone behind. Join me as we explore the technologies, policies, and human stories that can make clean energy not just sustainable for our planet, but accessible for everyone. Welcome to Just Power, and welcome back. This is our first episode of Season 3. Season 3. We took a short break over the summer so that we can plan what's coming forward for you for this season. We have some new guests coming on, and we have some old favorites. I say old, but new and old favorites, such as Dr. Tony Reams. The beloved Dr. Tony Reams is gonna be on in our Season 3, as well as Ben Nathan. Love Ben Nathan, so smart, from eSource, because so much has changed in the last few months, hasn't it, right? Especially for the communities that have been hit the hardest. So I thought I would launch this season by putting them front and center again. That's what's most important, which piggybacks on our last show of Season 2, which I gave you 5 questions that you should be asking your communities right now. I so hope that you took that to heart, right, and really learned something about what's going on with them now and what's needed most. And it's not just low income, it's creeping up to moderate income. Everyone's feeling it right now. So today I'm going to focus on giving you ideas on how to nurture them. So what does that really mean for an energy provider to nurture their community? Not just serve them. We use that word serve. We're serving our communities, and that's good. But we're asking you to go a little further, especially in these rough times. And so many people are really having a hard time right now. So let's talk about what it means to nurture. But before we do that, I have some great tips and ways for you to do that. But let's set the stage first, right? Many of you know this already, but nearly 1 in 2 U.S. households last year, in the last 12 months, struggled to pay their energy bill, right? And at the same time, federal programs are shifting or winding down for low-income families, and prices are climbing, affecting low-income to moderate income and more, right? So all of this, on top of all of this, what's exacerbated by the new demands that we're hearing that's coming onto our grid, like data centers because of our boom in AI. And electrification, electrifying our cars and our homes in new ways. So many things are coming down at once, right, in the energy space. And that's why this conversation is more important than ever. And I wanted to start with nurturing our communities. How do we, as energy providers and leaders, keep our promise to the people who depend on us, to the customers, especially the ones that are hit the hardest by rising costs and system changes that are happening? So I want to just set the tone a little bit by something that happened to me this week, right? And it is, I went to an event in Denver called the Women Energy Network event. And on the panel were 3 super smart women, right, who are energy experts. And they're working in the whole AI data center surge. And that's what the panel was about. And I wanted to be there because I want to know more of the implications that are happening for our communities with this. So one of the women, right, who's working at the largest data center that is being built right now in Abilene, Texas, is 1.2 gigawatts. I'm going to say that again. 1.2 gigawatts with future site scaling up to 10 gigawatts of energy needed for one center. Now, my friends, the Denver metro area average load of energy, all of Denver city, is 2 to 3 gigawatts. Okay, do the math on that, right? That's 4 to 5 times more than all of Denver in one spot, 4 walls. That's what we're talking. And in this panel, they went even beyond to talk what's coming down the pike in, say, in the next 5 to 10 years. We're not talking billions of dollars. We're talking trillions of dollars. And all of that is energy needed. Well, how is that going to affect our communities? How is this growth going to change the game when so many are already struggling? Right? We're experiencing, many are transmission congestion. We have an aging grid. So this potentially limiting access for homes, for small businesses, for farms, for rural electric co-ops. All of this is being played out right now, and we need to pay attention because all of this can translate to higher, even more higher prices. Okay? This is a moment in history that it's like ice bucket over the head, right? Like, wake up. We have some work to do. So to start, there's so much work to do, but I wanted to start off a little bit more about focusing in on the communities that will be affected most here, right? So I'm giving you 8 practical ways that energy providers can nurture their communities in times like these that are both deeply human and also smart business, right? These two things can live together. So let's dive in. All right. Number 1. Here's your number 1. Show up. Show up visibly and personally. Now, that might seem like a no-brainer, like, hey, Carolyn, we're already doing that. But it so often gets backburnered when we have tight schedules or limited staff or other priorities that always seem to arise in our workforce, and especially in the energy space. So we can't just sign off on budgets and show up when we need something from our communities, because that comes across as transactional. And people get it. They sense that. They smell that a mile away, right? So presence matters. Bake that into your brand right now, especially in these in-between times when maybe something is not urgent in those communities. This is when real trust gets built. Real trust and credibility gets built. So let me give you a few ideas on how that could look, what that could look like. One simple way is walking the neighborhood, walking your neighborhoods. Yeah, like literally walking the neighborhoods, saying hello, eyeball to eyeball, asking those questions. I gave you 5 really good ones, right? Be curious, not just corporate, curiosity. So get out into the neighborhood. Right? And even those in the C-level, you C-suite people, get out in the community. That will go so far. All right? Let's get some of those VPs and directors and C-level out in the community and make it part of that. Okay? We're going to need you in this transition in these kind of ways. So walk the neighborhood. Another is visit tribal councils, right? Not just for presentation or PowerPoint, but really for building relationships, okay? So in season 1, go back to season 1, episode 3 with Kathy Newby. She's a Navajo woman and also the director of tribal affairs at P&M, right? A Southwestern utility. And she offered some powerful insights on how to create authentic engagements with tribal governments. All right, that's a must listen to. And they're so important in this energy transition that we're having, they're having, everyone's having. So visit and nurture your tribal communities that matter so much in this transition. You can host a listening session, right? Now, for tribal, for rural, for low income, for people of color, like listen in. And when I say listen, because I've seen other things happen here, like we're doing a listening session, but actually we're presenting an idea underneath it. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Just listen. No PowerPoints. No pitch. Okay? You're listening for what's happening now. And you know when you're being listened to versus someone kind of sneaking in an agenda or has some sort of other intention in mind. No, that's not what we're talking about. It's truly listening. All right? There's a lot of great guidelines for that to do that. So those are three ideas. And I want to give you just a little pro tip, right? That could be a fun pro tip. Hand deliver those weatherization kits or energy relief credits. Hand deliver that. Yeah, knocking on the door. I know we don't do those things anymore because we live in a digital age. I'm just going to say the human element is going to be more important than ever in our AI explosion. And you watch, right? As we all get on it more and it gets part of our, right now it's surging and we're like all having fun on AI, or some of us. But when it levels out, the human side people will be so hungry for. Okay, so this is your time to grow that, all right? In our digital age, right? So your presence, right? We're talking about showing up. Presence means credibility. Okay? One, show up. All right. Tip number 2, right? Ways that you can nurture your community, right? Partner with local anchors, right? Leaders, anchors, people in the community for trust. Trust has always been a tough one for many energy providers, right? Because it's complex, right? There's rate cases and there's issues that always arise, fire mitigation, and communities that are having special needs. So it's really important to communicate and connect in an ongoing way with people. People trust people, especially those they already know, right? So create those relationships now and nurture them along the way, right? That's why one of the best moves is to partner with local anchors. We're talking pastors and school leaders, tribal liaisons, environmental justice advocates, grassroots organizers, right? All of these people are so important because they build the bridges. They help build the bridges to relationships. I was one of those bridges, right, for over a decade with an investor-owned utility. And that's first and foremost, somehow I knew that, right? Well, we all know how important relationships are, right, in our lives. So I built these one-on-one relationships with local environmental groups. Not just on behalf of the utility, but as a human being. I came in as a human being without an agenda, right? With listening. I might have had questions in my pocket, but I didn't come out of the gate hard with a PowerPoint. I was always there, really. Sometimes half the time we were talking about what was happening in their lives, right? And people can feel the real humanity behind that. So that trust took time. And even many times as the trust grew, they often told me things that they would not say to someone inside a utility at all, right? And here's the thing. It's very important that you uphold the trust on both sides. That's the part you have to negotiate because you don't want to break the trust, right? So you have to nurture that because if that doesn't happen from both sides, it won't work. As a matter of fact, it can blow up on you. So that's a really important thing. This kind of nurturing really paid off for me and for New Mexico. Those interactions helped pass historic legislation, right? The Energy Transition Act, by seeding those relationships way before the law was passed. Okay, so make sure you do that, right? All right, so number 2, right? Partner with local anchors for trust. Okay, now number 3, tell stories, not just stats. Storytelling. So stats tell, stories sell. You might have heard that before. So that's a really important thing. If you want people to care about your programs, tell the stories of the people, that are behind them. Who benefited, right? What changed in their life? What surprised you about that, right? Whether you're speaking to investors or regulators, storytelling works. It's been working for thousands of years. We love listening to stories, right? And as a storyteller, and I'm actually also a copywriter, I learned how to tell stories along the way, right? And those elements that create something where people are engaged, especially if the story is about them. They lean in and listen to it. So businesses that consistently use emotional and human-centered stories report up to 20% higher customer retention and satisfaction, right? So stories are such an important part about that. So elevate your community voices and let people see themselves in your work, right? Okay. So tell those stories out loud. And there's a million places you can put it. Social media, newsletters, right? Banners, so many places that you can highlight those stories. All right. Number 4, measure the human impact. Human impact, not just the usage. Okay, so we're talking about metrics now, right? But we can measure the human side of it, and many times we don't even know how to begin with that. So let me give you some ideas. So first, yes, usage matters, usage dated matters, arrears matter, they do, but they don't tell the whole story. They don't. Go beyond the meter. Go beyond the meter. You can hold quick roundtables, right? You can set up neighborhood energy check-ins in an ongoing way and ask people how they're doing. It's so important. I mean, actually, right now would be a perfect time to start doing this kind of qualitative data, the why behind the potential woe that's happening for some of your communities, helps you design programs from the start, baking in equity from the start into the design stage that will actually work, right? So a pro tip, right? Regulators notice when you track and report on human outcomes, not just kilowatt hours, right? So let me give you a couple examples of metrics to consider on how to measure that. So for instance, an enrollment in a let's say an energy assistance program before and after you did community engagement, see how that might have changed. Track potential delays, the delays that were avoided due to early community input. Another way, calculate cost savings from a proactive outreach. You can take a look at the numbers behind that. Look at the regulatory approvals that you're getting when you've actually had community input or support letters along the way. So there are ways to track this human piece. And I always call it the human side of energy. Listen up, my folks. That is going to be more important than ever in the age of AI and electrification. Okay? So, human impact, yes, not just usage. All right, number 5, make assistance personal, not just transactional. Make assistance personal, not just transactional. Okay, so AI is great for flagging at-risk customers. Don't stop there. Don't stop there. Use that insight to offer personalized support. And I love this idea of energy coaches inside the utility. Yeah, there are people there that can help you with, weatherization or energy efficiency, but we're asking to take it deeper, to really turn up the volume of the human side of that. You can train call center reps and field techs to be problem solvers and empathetic listeners, right? And calling that team an energy coach. People get the term coach these days. There's so many of us out there. So real people who work with the struggling customers through the maze of the complexity of energy for their homes and their businesses, with a large dosage of humanity enjoyed. Okay, there. So now, according to J.D. Powers, customer satisfaction scores rise up to 40% when utilities use live outreach instead of just passive notices. Okay? So every bit of this I'm giving you has a economic and it's business related. This is good business to be good to your communities. Okay, especially in times like this. I know I'm sounding a little bit like a broken record here. People want to feel seen, and let's make that the standard. Okay, so number 4, make assistance personal, not just transactional. All right, now we're moving on to number 6, offer flexible relief before a crisis hits. Have a proactive, I'll call it a proactive safety net, not just a reactive shutoff policy. Shutoffs are probably the worst thing for a family, and for the utility, nobody likes them, right? So what could you offer? At cost basic service tiers. Check that out. There's more of that coming down the pike. Automatic energy relief credits during economic downturns. You could also have, which I know you have many of these already, but they might need to be relooked at and brought up to, that's why you got to talk to your communities, brought up to speed of what's happening now. Flexible payment plans tied to maybe job loss. There's been a lot of job losses we've been seeing, or extreme weather events. So one avoided shutoff, right, can save a utility hundreds of dollars of admin costs, not to mention the human toll on the family that it's happening for, right? So for more on this, I encourage you to check out season 2. I did a show with Dr. Diana Hernandez. Season 2, episode 5, I believe it was. She's the author of a book by the name of Powerless. And in that book, she breaks down how utilities, especially around shutoffs, can design upstream interventions that protect both the people and the operations to avoid humiliating and sometimes devastating shutoffs. So I love to just say, let's shut off the shutoffs. Let's figure out better ways to do this. We can do this, right? Number 7, resist the rollback. This is probably my favorite in the sense that I know I say sometimes we're in weird times right now. The political winds have shifted, and it's tempting to scale back our equity or our equity initiatives. Don't. Pulling back sends a message that these programs were never really core or important to your mission. And once you lose that trust, you know how hard it is to get it back. I know how hard it is because I was out there trying to build trust, and sometimes other things happen and setbacks happen. It's like, here we go again. It's hard. Trust is hard, even in our personal relationships when we've been crossed, right? Trust. So let's really keep trust front and center, right? And the rollback just erodes that. So as much as you can, don't roll back. Stay solid. You might have to change some words from from equity to affordability, from or community building, and that's okay. That's okay. But speaking to some municipalities out there and others that are continuing the work on this, they're saying, well, we might have to change publicly, but we're still going strong internally. I hope that's you. All right. So resist the rollback. Stay the course. Show your community and your regulators that you're in it for the long haul. Okay. And number 8, the last one for today. This is one that is often overlooked, is celebrate. Celebrate the shared wins that you have with your communities. You do some of the things that I just mentioned here, you're going to have some wins. And when your community succeeds, when shutoffs go down or a neighborhood hits like a high solar enrollment in maybe one of your programs, celebrate that win together. Co-host it. Bring the whole community together, right? Share the stage with the community partners. Put faces to the outcome. And yes, back to tell the story of how it happened. So we all love to be recognized, don't we, for our efforts? And when people don't recognize it, especially after we've been trying for so long, it erodes our faith and our own trust. So recognition deepens the relationships. It boosts morale. Your employees will love it. They love working for a company that does that really cares, and it's central to their business model, and it reminds everybody there why they work there, right? So celebrate. Okay, I know I gave you a lot today, so let me bring this home. Okay, nurturing your community isn't charity. It's a strategy. It's part of your strategy, a positive strategy to help us all get where we need to go because we're all in this together, right? So it built some of the things that I just want to drive here. It builds goodwill that moves projects forward. It attracts impact investments. That's really important, right? ESG and other investments. It retains customers and it inspires your employees. It's such a win, win, right down the row. Okay? So here's my challenge for you. Pick one, just one of these 8 strategies and start this quarter. Talk to your people that are already out in those communities, right? Because I'm sure they're doing great work and they're probably hearing a lot, but how can you enhance that right now? Go beyond the data. Listen more deeply. Show up in real human ways. And then let me know about it. I would love for you to let me know about this. We'd love to share those wins. We're in a different age now, right? And it's going to only blossom even more. Maybe we should call instead AI, it's also the HI, the human, right? So let's share your wins so we can help others do the same. You can put it in the comments below. You can send me an email. You can check that out in the show notes. So that's so important because when we stand with our communities and not just power them, but stand with our communities, we build an energy future that is truly inclusive. All right? I'm going to say that again. We build an energy future that is truly inclusive. So if any of this resonates with you, would you share it? Would you share this episode, right, with someone maybe who has the power to make a change or can get to someone who has the power to really make that change inside of the utility? Because this moment calls for all of us. And as I say on all of my shows, right, remember, we are all in this together. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to Just Power wherever you get your podcasts. And if you really loved it, leave us a review and tell everyone you know about our podcast. It's going to take all of us to create a clean energy future that leaves no one behind.